Oh, Blavity universe! Don't you dare be sour. Clap your hands for your WWE champ and feel the power. Good morning to the WWE champion, Big E. No Langston, how are you?
First of all, I didn't know all that was coming. And
I
I am
know, I know.
humbled. I am honored. You knocked it out the ballpark. Just beautifully done. Beautifully done.
No doubt. It's a pleasure to speak with you today. I want you to know I watch a lot of your interviews, other places. With me, you're talking to a fan. I'm not a guy that watched when Stone Cold was around and that was it. I've been constantly watching my whole life. So it's a pleasure to speak with you today, and been looking forward to this moment.
Thank you very much.
Before I get started with you, I want you to know you would not be the only one on the video with the belt
Ah, yes.
this morning. I feel it's only right that I bring out the winged eagle for you. But seriously, you are the WWE champion currently, uh, the biggest or the longest lineage title currently in sports entertainment. Are you still processing the gravity of that at this moment?
Yeah, I guess after winning, I suppose I was waiting for this moment where I kind of came back down to some semblance of normalcy. But I think I'm starting to accept that maybe there is no coming back down. And for me, I think the biggest thing is it's when I look at my life, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately, it's not just everything that's going so well in my career, but just really uh, this confluence of just really incredible things happening in my life all around the same time. So, I'm extremely grateful for the growth and, what really made this moment so special for me winning the title was just the reception from my fans, from peers as well. Just so many people reached out and were so kind and said so many incredible things, which has made this so fulfilling. Even as simple as it is, having strangers come up to you and say they're proud of you is really like warmed my heart. So it's just been an incredible moment. I'm not sure if it's hit me. It's really, I feel like my life has really just changed this year, so for the better easily. So I feel extremely blessed, honestly.
I think it's a beautiful moment. I think in the company and across sports entertainment in general, the amount of diversity that we're seeing. So as I alluded, I'm a lifelong fan of the product and the industry in general, and I can't imagine or I can't recall a time where I've seen such a variance of talent, characters. When they talk diversity, people usually lean towards like just racial, but you're seeing variance in people's physiques, their how they work, things of that nature. Do you feel like you are part of any sort of a renaissance right now?
Oh, completely, completely, man. I look around at our industry, and again, this is happening, definitely happening in WWE, but it's happening in our industry as a whole. But I look around, and I am so proud of so many of the talent that I see who are unique. They're themselves. They're not being shoved into these stereotypical roles that don't make any sense for them. You look at a Bianca Belair, and she is so authentic and genuine. And just even being able to see like the way she inspires young black girls is so dope to me. Sasha Banks, who has been killing it for years. You even look at like Bobby Lashley, who had an incredible run. I love that, Bobby and I might have, somewhat similar physiques as more muscle bound black men, but when I look at Bobby, like there's real difference there. Bobby and I, we're not the same. You look at the Hurt Business, New Day, so different. You look at Hit Row, and the things they're doing are unique and different. And so many of these talent. What I love too is it never feels like, in my opinion, it never feels like black talent are being put in positions simply to fill some kind of a quota. You look at Bianca and Sasha and them main eventing the first night of WrestleMania, and you can't tell me that anyone else deserved that. They deserved it. They killed it. They were worthy of those roles. And I think that's the beautiful thing is you're seeing black talent in these positions simply because they're just that damn good. They're just that talented and unique and just bringing it on a different level and finding new ways to add wrinkles to their game. So I think it is really an exceptional time. Even when I look back to when I first started wrestling 12 years ago, and it wasn't like this at all. You look around, and I had this conversation with Shelton Benjamin not too long ago. Shelton said, when he came up, it was him and maybe a couple others. Even when Kofi first came up, there wasn't a ton of black talent. But now you look around and you see so many black talent, and I think it's only going to continue to go that route. So I'm really proud of where we're at right now.
Now, as for yourself as a performer, I think there's different levels you reach. I wanted to know, with each level, intercontinental titles, tag team titles, the bajillion title runs the New Day has, the lengths of them, now being a WWE champion. At each level, are there any things that you tweak as a performer to help resonate more with the crowd at all, or because in my opinion, I feel like you've been able to branch out more and more the longer you've been with the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely think for me, it's not necessarily tied to, well, it probably is tied to titles and the tiers and moving up a little bit for sure. But I think as a performer, I think you need a barometer. And I really just feel like I've just trusted my instincts. And, there are times where I'm trying to hit you with as much goofiness as possible because it felt right. We're trying to do some different stuff where, I was log rolling down the ramp to the ring, hitting splits of the ring, doing nonsense, and I love it. And I love the fact that I get to look around and someone is smiling or laughing because of something that I did. And I love, providing people that escape means so much to me, and it's provided so much value in my life. But I think now, people have clamored for me to change and to be serious. And in many ways, I think I am more serious. But I just wanted to trust in my instincts to know, all right, now here's the time to tweak things a little bit. Here's the time to maybe wear a little bit darker colors, but still feel like me. So for me, I'm grateful because in many ways, I have a team around me in a way. It's not like I'm an NFL player. I got an agent and a manager and people directing things. But, I talk a lot to, for instance, Wale, who does my theme song. Even that's a big part of my aesthetic is what I come down to the ring with. So talking to Wale about kind of what I wanted in those lyrics and letting him go and do his thing. Same thing, like our gear is a huge part of our presentation. Our singlets, our wrestling gear, whatever it is that we're wearing. And Jonathan Davenport, an incredible dude, a great friend of mine. We've been working with him since 2014. So I can talk to him about, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking, what I'm going for, the way I want to be presented. So I'm able to talk to different people that I'm working with on who help me with my look and my feel. And we're able to kind of just gauge where are we headed? What do we want the audience to feel? How do we want the presentation to feel? Because, in many ways, I still want to be myself. I still want to be loose and free. I still want to be the person that makes you laugh. But there is a certain responsibility, too, that comes with being WWE champion. And in the same vein, like I want people to know, like when my singles run started and Kofi gave me his blessing to do single stuff and said, hey, you got this. I wanted people to know, like, all right, I'm still the fun loving me, but I'm here for a purpose. There needs to be an added layer of determination that, hey, like I'm not going to squander this opportunity. I'm going to use it to continue to grow and to improve. So that's the big thing for me is just really trusting in my gut, trusting in myself. And I think you have to learn to kind of block out a lot of the outside noise, but listen to the fans, listen to people and have an idea of how you're being received and where you're going. So I've just been a big believer in trusting in me. And that took time, man. I'm someone who, many ways, for a long time in my life, I've limited myself, or I've said, I don't think I'm good enough, or someone's going to say no, or let me not even try. And I've had to learn over the years to shut that voice down, to say, hey, man, just sometimes maybe I didn't even really believe that I was good enough, but I had to take that leap. I had to bet on myself because when I'm done with my career and my pursuits or whatever it is, and at the tail end of my life, I hope that I can look back and that I'm proud at myself for taking the leaps. And hey, sometimes you're going to fail, sometimes you'll miss, but this run has been so fulfilling to me because I feel like I got to do it my way.
Absolutely, absolutely. To piggyback on your point about Wale, I wanted to sort of speak on the connection between professional wrestling in recent years and hip hop. I think he's had a big to do or something to do with that in regards to like Wale Mania every WrestleMania weekend, and then just a lot of the movement you see on the indies or on Twitter with black people really embracing professional wrestling. It's not such a taboo thing anymore that people really, say in secret. Post Attitude Era. He even has the theme song for the new NXT show. What do you find, I guess, comforting or supportive about how hip hop has embraced professional wrestling in recent years?
I love it. I'm a self-described hip hop head, and hip hop has meant so much to me, and it's just such a ever-present part of my life. So, you know what I realized years ago is there were so many rappers who were dropping references to wrestling in their music, and like you referred to earlier, not just Ric Flair references, which there are a ton of, but they would talk about current stuff. They were like they were clearly engaged. And I just always thought, man, we should be doing more because there's so many of us in the locker room who are talking about the new Wale album or the new J. Cole. Like we are like, hip hop is such a huge part of culture, American culture, the global culture. And it just made sense. So I love the fact, and like you said, Wale has been a huge part of that. Like you said, with Wale Mania every year. He's also done with Kazim, a great friend of both of us. They've done these Wale Mania inspired merch launches too. These really dope shirts with the silhouettes of Black World Champions. And so Wale has done so many incredible things for kind of just really bridging that gap between wrestling and hip hop. But he's not alone. There's West Side Gun, who you see at, front row at so many shows. And what West Side and Griselda are doing, they've just been absolutely killing the game. I'm such a huge fan of everything they're doing. Conway's incredible. Benny the Butcher is becoming like my favorite up and coming MC. I don't even want to call him that because he's just he's there. But yeah, West Side, Smoke Dizza is a guy who's been doing this for a long time. So there are so many of these rappers who have been doing it and helping to bridge that gap. And me being just a small part of it, having Wale rap me out means a ton. And I hope we can continue to do more. I think there's just such a natural bridge between that. And I can't leave out Flatbush Zombies too. They did actually this a few years ago. They did, I want to say a couple years ago, there was this really dope concept. I think they did a show with Denzel Curry in like a wrestling ring. And like the concert was in the ring and had some indie workers in there doing stuff too. But it just makes so much sense because like rap in many ways is wrestling and wrestling is rap. That sports entertainment, that braggadocio that you have to have, that swagger, like that's like we borrow from hip hop and rappers borrow from us. And I think it just makes so much sense. And I hope we continue to go that way. And I think it also allows, there are a lot of people too who might not be as connected with the current product and what we're doing with WWE, who are huge fans of Wale and Dizza and Griselda. And when they hear these references or they see me at maybe like a Wale show or whatever it is, I think we can help bring in newer eyes and different audiences. And I think it just makes wrestling feel cool when you see wrestlers in these spaces that you wouldn't expect them. I know this wasn't even a setup thing, but I will say one of my favorite bridges between rap and wrestling is the picture of Randy Orton at the airport with Migos. Like that to me is the epitome of rap and wrestling coming together in ways you wouldn't expect, but like it works. It works.
Right, right. There's no way I can speak to you this morning and not talk about the New Day and the things you guys have attained up until this point via longevity and your own creativity, taking risks. Woods is the current king of the ring. You are the current WWE champion. Kofi is a former WWE champion at this point. You guys had pretty much every other title that there is in the company. When you guys first got together, could you have fathomed this at this point? Or was that ever the plan to be this amazing?
I don't think we could have fathomed it. We knew we had something special. We knew we had a group that had legs. I think, kind of my general thought at least was, hey, if this group works out well, maybe we're together for 6 months, maybe 9 months. And then, the point to me of every faction should be everyone should be elevated. The faction comes together and everyone is better off than they were before. And that was our goal. It's really, incredibly humbling. I'm just really in the season of gratitude, so it's big for me, and it's just allowed me to. My life is so much more enjoyable when I'm grateful. So we broke a record that stood for over 20 years in WWE with a 483 consecutive day tag title run. We had a long promo segment with The Rock. Even getting to host WrestleMania at a time when like active talent were really doing that, being a part of the Hardys' big moment. There's so many incredible things. Even having a cereal, Bootios at FYE, is absurd. All these things I don't think we ever could have imagined, especially knowing how rough and rocky that start was. But I'm just so proud of us for sticking to the course. I think times like that, when we were told no so often, we had so many doors slammed in our faces. We had people who laughed at us, who Big Show pulled Kofi aside in front of me and Woods, and not joking, said, "What are you doing with those guys? You're ruining your careers. You need to go off and do your own thing." And I don't mind saying Big Show's name because he came back and he's apologized many times. He's talked about how proud he is of us. But I'm proud of the three of us because we stayed the course. We believed in ourselves. We never turned on each other. The one thing, I love those guys so much because I can always trust them. There was never a fear that they would go in and try to pitch something to make me look bad or to put themselves in the position of being the leader. We always did everything for the group. We moved like a family, like a brotherhood, like a true brotherhood, and we had our each other's backs to the end. Even though we're on separate shows now, we talk all the time on a daily basis. We're always talking about what we want to do in the ring and outside of the ring. We're talking about life. I've slept in those guys' homes. I know their kids, their wives. There's a real brotherhood there, a real bond that will extend beyond. When our wrestling days are over, that'll still be there. So that's the biggest thing. Is I'm just so proud that we bet on ourselves. We took that leap and it paid off. And it wasn't easy. It was not easy at first, but that experience just really taught me so much. And from now on, everything that I do, I want to feel authentic to me. I want to feel like it's something that just feels right for me because trusting in my instincts has helped me so much over these past few years.
Absolutely. While I do have you here, also, I think it's important, speaking to Blavity and the Blavity U audience, tell us a little bit about Our Heroes Rock. I know it's your initiative to educate folks on Black history and some of our achievements. If I'm correct, I believe that is.
Yes, completely, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for one. This is my baby. This is our labor of love. And I will say, is this is much Andreas Hale and Jonathan Davenport. The three of us got together. And, this was all off the wake of George Floyd. And it started as wrestling gear. For me, I never had the death of someone who I'd never met shake me so much. And I think just having those visuals replayed on TV and in my mind over and over. And I also think the fact that we couldn't go anywhere. It was the middle of a pandemic. So I didn't have distractions of, okay, I have to leave to hop on a plane to get to work. I had to sit with this. And, so many times I had so many conversations with my Black friends, teammates, family members about the times that we were, pulled over by police and the fear and the conversations, even talking to Woods and Kof. They have young sons and they're talking about when is the right age to talk to your sons about being pulled over by police, and just hearing the pain in their voice, like when do you snatch that innocence from them and let them know that, hey man, there are some people out in this world who will perceive you a certain way simply because of the way you look. So having these conversations, we just felt like we needed to do something, and for me, I kind of felt almost overwhelmed. Like how can I ever hope to end systemic racism by myself or make all these changes? But we talked and said, let's do something. It might not radically change the world, but let's do something. And it started as wrestling gear. So we just had this idea to do kind of this schoolhouse rock inspired wrestling gear, but with all these prominent Black figures that maybe people hadn't heard of. So we had like Ruby Bridges, James Baldwin, Madam C.J. Walker, and we wanted to do it in just this engaging way. And like Jonathan Davenport is incredible because he has this way with his art of making it engaging, and it's just beautiful. So we started with that, and then Andreas, a good friend of mine, reached out and said, hey, this has to be much more than just wrestling gear. And we put our heads together and said, you know what, let's start a Kickstarter and make a short film. And the great thing is, Jonathan Davenport, he's done stuff with Marvel and Star Wars. Like, he's been in this space. He understands animation. He's an incredible illustrator. So we had a guy who can handle this. And the story of Ruby Bridges just resonates so much with us because I just think back to being, it's 1960. She's 6 years old. This little black girl at a school, an all-white school in New Orleans, who is one of the very first to integrate it. And knowing that there were adults who would show up and yell awful things at her, she details in her book the story. There was someone who showed up with a black coffin with a little black doll who was supposed to be her. Essentially, it was a death threat to a 6-year-old girl who was simply trying to go to school. So I think her story is incredible. And, also, Barbara Henry is her teacher. There's one teacher, one white woman who says, I will teach this child. So I think for that year, for the most part, it was just Barbara Henry and Ruby Bridges in a classroom together. And to me, that story is so incredibly powerful. The fact that, we see these black and white pictures, but this wasn't in the 19 teens and the 20s. She's still alive. She's younger than my mom. I think she just turned 67 not too long ago. She's still here. She's still with us. And her story still resonates. Barbara Henry is still alive as well. So we wanted to do it in an engaging way, using hip hop, using animation. I think of it as the spiritual successor to Schoolhouse Rock. We have Rhapsody, who is an incredible rapper, 2-time Grammy nominee. She made a song for us that we absolutely love. Eric the Architect produced it from Flatbush Zombies, one of my favorite producers in all of hip hop. So, man, we just have the best elements. We're using 3D animation. And we talked about the fact, too, I think a lot of times when we grew up and we would see black cartoons or black animation, sometimes you felt like, okay, this is cool, but they didn't get the highest budget. They didn't get all the tools. So we wanted to do our very best with this Kickstarter to create the short film and have the very best in 3D animation, to have the best MCs with Rhapsody, the best producers. So we have the best elements. And, what I liken it to is it reminds me of when I was a kid and I had, medicine or vitamins that I needed, and my mom would crush it up and put it in applesauce and mix it in the applesauce. And I would eat the applesauce, and I wouldn't even really know that I was having this medicine or vitamins. And that's what we want this film and this series, hopefully, our hope is to turn it into a series, to be. Is that you show up, the kids show up just to be entertained, to have some fun, but when they leave, they have this jingle in their head, and they know the story of Ruby Bridges, who in 1960 integrated this all-white school in New Orleans. And now they can walk away. And years later, I have so many people, at one point, someone backstage was looking at my wrestling gear late last year. And one of them was, I think she was, about 25 years old. The other was in his mid-50s. And they both knew that Schoolhouse Rock jingle, about how like a bill becomes a law. And so many people have this in their mind, and they know elements of the government because of that. And that's my hope with our project, with Our Heroes Rock, is that we tell the story of Ruby Bridges and hopefully tell so many of these stories of Black authors and activists and politicians and just Black people who did incredible things in so many of these different spaces that we think are really important, and these stories that aren't told enough. And that's our hope, is to do it in a fun, engaging way, and to get this out there so that kids and adults alike can watch it, enjoy it, have fun, but walk away with this really vital information. And too, I think when you're a young Black kid, oftentimes your understanding of Black history is, we learn about it in February, and it's MLK, it's Rosa Parks, it's slavery, and that's it. But our history is so much deeper than that. It's so much more beautiful and round and just. We're not a monolith. We have such a beautiful history in this country, outside of this country, and I think we need to tell more of these stories.
I really appreciate that. It's an amazing initiative. I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to give you some rapid fire, but I think you handle it. Thanksgiving's coming up, as well as the Survivor Series. And I wanted to know your top 5 Thanksgiving meals.
Ooh, okay. So a little backstory. When I grew up, we have like traditional Thanksgivings, but it have a little bit of an island twist because my mom's from Montserrat, a very small island in the Caribbean, and my dad is Jamaican. So I'll probably throw in some. I will say. So we would start. I'll put. It's a little out there for people who aren't used to the Caribbean stuff. But we would have. Oftentimes we'd have ackee and saltfish, and yeah, that's so. Ackee and saltfish is on the list. That's one. We'll go with. For some reason, my mom was into turducken, so she would for a few years we would get the turducken, which is I think it's a chicken stuffed inside a turkey, stuffed inside a duck. And I remember like John Madden would always he loved turduckens too, so we'd always talk about it. So I was hyped when I got my first turducken. So we'll put that Frankenstein of a bird creation as number two. Um, my mom's macaroni and cheese casserole, incredible. That's honestly that's the MVP. So that's number three. Uh, Cranberry sauce is overrated. I don't even know why we had it on the table. So cranberry sauce that's not making it. But the stovetop stuffing that was legit. We would always just do it out the box, and I always liked it. So we'll go with that with four. And let me close it out. We need a fifth. Mm, you know what? Let's go with let's go with some. Let's go with chicken curry. A little curry chicken. A
Let's get
little
that.
chicken, but yeah, yeah. Let's
Those Guyanese right there.
yeah. Let's do that.
Curry chicken. Okay, I could dig that. I could dig that. It's been it's been amazing speaking with you today, man. I want to thank you for your time, and thanks for speaking with Blavity U. And I wish you nothing but the best going forward. Take care of Kevin Owens in a couple Sundays or so. Do your thing. Stay safe.
Yeah, we'll do.
You know what I mean?
We'll do. Thank you so much for this, man. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure for real.
Oh man, likewise, likewise.
Thank you.